cool is the Toxic Avenger? Stay tuned and you'll find out. What's up, everyone? I am Wink.
And I'm Skillz.
And this is Scream Cheese. Today, we are talking about the 1984 classic, The Toxic Avenger, directed by Michael Herz and Lloyd Kaufman, starring Mark Torgl, Mitch Cohen, and Andrew Miranda. In The Toxic Avenger, Tromaville has a monstrous new hero. The Toxic Avenger is born when meek mop boy Melvin falls into a vat of toxic waste. Now, evildoers will have a lot to lose. All right, Kills. This was a blast from the past. I had seen this when I was a kid. I know there's a possibility that we're getting a remake soon, and I just wanted to see if it was as good as I remembered. When it comes down, there was a lot that I was impressed by, but in the end, not a great movie, but there's a lot to love about it.
So this was my first time seeing the film. It's extreme 80s camp, over-the-top characters. It caught me off guard. Bozo, the main villain, his friend, and their two girlfriends, they go out and they run people over. And they run over like a kid, and they run over his head. Spoiler alert. And I'm just like, what the hell, dude? And they're using like the F word. Not the F word, but like all kinds of things. And when it was all said and done, I don't have the nostalgia from it. I can only imagine if I had seen this when it came out. I have a lot of issues with it, but at the same time, it was like a fun 80s camp film. It gave me everything I would want from that type of film. It gave me the nudity, the hot chicks, the over-the-top violence, the campy, over-the-top characters. Yeah, so I found it to be really fun for seeing it for the first time. So
yeah, I would say first off, the gore is actually really pretty good. It's almost shockingly good, but I think that's what Troma was kind of doing back then. So that aged well. Some of the stuff didn't age so well, like the F slur and stuff like that. It's funny because I made in my notes, I was like, this movie is timeless in that I don't know when it's from. You could tell me that was 1975 to 1995. You could put it anywhere in there. Actually, the one thing that like kind of places it in a particular time is the tan lines for the nudity, you know?
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. There was there was tan lines. Look guys, we're not talking about a little bit of tan line. We're talking about there's a certain color of skin, and when the bra comes off, it's like the exposure goes out of like they can't keep the
you get the screen like blurs as it tries to like
it's like solid white.
I imagine you've got Lloyd Kaufman, brilliant man. He's got this new story for a movie. He's mentioned it to Michael Herz, and at a certain point he's like, hey Michael, I'd like you to direct this one with me. He's like, oh yeah, the kid that gets tormented and he becomes horribly mutilated when he falls into toxic waste. There's probably a lot we can delve into to figure out how he deals with being deformed. And Lloyd Kaufman's like, whoa, no man, everything we're gonna do for this movie, take the thinking out of it. We're not gonna figure out what he's gonna do with his life. He's a superhero now, right? And it's like, okay, well, and then you said he's got these people that torment him. I remember you saying that he was like gonna kill them in the movie. It seems like that might not be a good idea. They just tormented him. They're not like that bad, are they? And like, no, they're terrible. Well, how terrible can they be? They're just like gym rats. No. They fucking hit people with their cars for fun. It's like, oh fuck, dude. Okay, yeah.
Dude, and then run over like his head.
Yeah, and just destroy them and then take pictures of it and love it. They're addicted to it.
Oh, that was the other thing, dude. I'm telling you, I was totally shocked by this film when she had the Polaroids and they're looking at him. I'm like, these people are basically all four of them are serial killers, right?
Yeah.
I could like critique that aspect of the film as far as saying like, this is like a heavy thing. You need to like address this more. But the whole film was within the context of this campy, weird, the way the film started, it almost sounded like a film from the 70s where you had this announcer come on and be like, New York City, blah, 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 blah. But it worked though. The kills were great, dude.
That's like the best part of it.
Yeah, within the budget they had, they really attempted to make all the kills, like even if they were over the top, it was like, hey, you could feel the fun they were having doing them.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way of putting it. My two negatives are, one, with the effort they put into the kills and everything, the Toxic Avenger, even though this is my first time seeing the film, he's an iconic character to me. Growing up, like I've just seen him. And so now when I actually saw the film, I'm like, I see the effort you put into the kills, but his face really looked cheap. I feel like you could have put a little more into that aspect of it. The other negative is I didn't dig the voice. That was really off-putting to me. I had never known about that aspect of the character. When he first stepped on the doorstep at his house talking to his mom and we saw him from behind, I thought that was like a voiceover. And even then I was like, it doesn't fit. It's like this really, you know, serious voice. Mom, it's me, you know? And then later on, you realize that was his talking voice. Now, if I had experienced the film at that time, that might have been part of the lore, that might have been part of the nostalgia. But watching it for the first time, that voice was really odd, man, because he's a monster, he's a creature. And I also wish they would have carried over some of the look of Melvin to him. I didn't feel like that was carried over at all, you know?
I agree, it was kind of weird. That didn't bother me so much. What really bothered me was the growling stuff that they do when he's like fighting and stuff. Oh, dude, it sounded like there was 10 seconds of the noise and they just played it over and over.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna lose my mind if I have to hear this again.
They're like looping it, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you with like his actual face. I think it might get a little bit better in the sequels. I'm not sure. It looks good in the cartoon, I feel like, in the Toxic Crusaders. I was gonna say, just the last plot point that Michael Herz and Lloyd Kaufman have to talk about. Michael Herz is about to go into directing. He's like, oh, the one thing that I really dug, you said he had a love interest, right? And Lloyd Kaufman's like, yeah, she's actually blind. And Michael Herz is like, oh, that's amazing. Then she can really love him for who he really is. And again, Lloyd Kaufman says, no, you're thinking too much. She feels his muscles and knows that he's hot. Then everything's fucking misguided in the movie. It's brilliant, but it's all a mess.
It's good that you bring her up because with everybody else, I felt like that was the limit of their acting ability, like within this camp world, which is fine for this type of film. With the actress that played Sarah, I felt like she was playing to that. I felt like she had a lot more range. She was really good. But here's the other thing I got to point out too is, okay, they have this restaurant, they establish a shot. Of course, it's called like the Mexican place. And so there's all these people in there eating like food. These guys come in to like rob the place. And of course, the girl that is blind with the dog just happens to be incredibly hot.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. And then one of the bad guys just happens to decide to shoot her dog, which again was like, what the? It's like running over the kids. It's like, you guys have no rules, right? It's like the movie's nuts, man, but I really liked it.
I would say it's a film without nuance. I guess that's the point I was making. If they were going to have a bad guy, it was going to be a reprehensible person.
Well, Bozo was like the worst guy ever.
Oh, yeah. It's like a caricature of like a bad guy, too. He's like just yelling, just rage, you know? But I think it's interesting. I feel like these Troma films are very unique. The sensibility that Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Herz have, I don't think there's anybody else that makes movies quite like they do. Also, as far as I know, this is pre-like video. So this was probably shot on film. And so this is like a B movie, but like B movies back then, you had to be pretty legit, you know?
Yeah.
It's quite a production. Today, you can make a B movie with zero money, with no resources, just because cameras are so cheap and stuff. So like B movies today, there's like a level of them that are completely unwatchable, whereas this B movie is just like a classic.
I don't think it's a great film, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it and I had a lot of fun with it. And I feel like if I would have seen this when it came out, I'd probably love it. So I'm gonna give it a 6.
I did see it, not when it came out, but just a few short years after. And I do love it. I do have a close relationship to it, but also I don't think it's great. I score it a 5.5. All right, folks, well, let us know what you thought of the Toxic Avenger. And also, if you're excited about the prospect of having a remake, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and suggest any of your favorite horror movies in the comment section below. And we will see you next time. Peace out, cheesers.
Peace.